The Love Life and Lose Weight podcast will teach you the art and science of changing your habits around food. I'm your host, Advanced Certified Weight and Life Coach, Heather Beardsley. I've helped hundreds of women just like you figure out how to stop dieting, lose weight, and love life on the journey to goal weight and beyond. Hey, welcome to episode 38. In this episode, we're going to go over the daily planner that I offer, or you can make your own. We're going to go over all of the elements of planning, which is a super tool for you to change your habits around food and reach your weight goals. So I want to make a couple of things to note here. The first thing is that if you're listening on the podcast, I would prefer it if you watched on video so that you can see the planner that I'm talking about and all of the sections. Okay, so how do you get to see the video? Well, you've got to be on my email list. I offer some of the videos that of me recording my podcasts to my email subscribers so that they can watch the video instead of just listen. And, for different episodes where visuals really help, this can be a great reason to just join the list. So to do that, visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/subscribe. The link will be in the show notes. Or if you see this on social media, it'll be right there in the description. As soon as you sign up, you will get an email from me with the link to download this planner. And like I said, it's not necessary that you use my planner, but it is designed around the foundational elements that I talk about for weight loss. So it can be a great place to start. For sure, you can use it for, I would say use it for about a month and see how you like it. In the using of it, you'll see little sections maybe that you wish were added or things that you don't use, and you can kind of make your own. These days, it's super easy to do that. But for this episode, we're going to talk about my daily plan, how to use it. Basically, it's a super tool for weight loss because it is the action part about putting the tenets of sustainable integrative weight loss. That's what I call it, integrative weight loss, because it integrates your thinking mind, your habit mind, your nervous system, right? And your physical body. So it's it's an integrated approach to regulating what and how much you eat, along with what you prefer to eat, your own tastes and preferences around food, and regulating that whole process to kind of regulate your weight so that you can reach your happy weight, whatever that might be. Okay, so go over there, download you can hit pause, go do that, get your own copy, and let's take a look at this simple like one-page system together. I'm going to be sharing my screen on the video so that you can see each section. Now, there is a disclaimer here, which is really important to know. I know there's some of you who are like, oh, why do we have to plan? If I can eat truly any food that I want, why is it important to plan? And it is important to plan because it's a tool that gets you to pay attention to unconscious habits around food that just tend to play out even without your conscious awareness. And the only way to kind of figure that out is to make a plan on purpose and then evaluate whether or not you were able to keep to the plan. This evaluation process where you make the plan and then you see what you're able to do is going to show you how much, number one, you are an effective planner who knows what you need on any given day or in any given circumstance. So, what I find with coaching is that a lot of times we have virtuous ideas of how we're supposed to behave in order to lose weight, and they'll show up on plans like when you're not planning for, you know, so-called non-dieting foods. When there's none of those on the plan, I know you're in virtuous thinking about food. And we've got to break that. And the first sign of that is that you'll be eating off plan. You won't be able to check, I followed my plan today, because you'll have eaten a bunch of cookies or what have you, that you aren't giving yourself permission to eat on purpose because you've got maybe limited thinking in there. Like, I can't have cookies and lose weight. Well, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but you really got to figure out how to plan for cookies, eat cookies when you're hungry, and stop eating cookies before you're full in order to really know if you can have cookies or any so-called, non-dieting food or food saboteur or diet saboteur food. If it really does get in the way, some of you have sensitivities or allergies or what have you, that it really will get in the way, and that's fine. But you've got to test out in the real world any of your dieting assumptions about what kinds of food you can have and can't have. Okay. And the plan will reveal that. The other thing that the plan does is it gets you in the habit of bringing habit change around your habits around food front and center of your mind each and every day. And a planning practice needs to accompany weight loss for the vast majority of my clients. I mean, I would say it's about 90%. Some of my clients can just plan, they just follow their stomach cues and they kind of get right in line with allowing themselves to eat the foods that they really do want to eat, and they can have it with their appetite cues. And they don't need to plan. But until you show me that you can lose weight while not planning, if you're not losing weight and you're not planning, then the one thing you need to do is plan your food. Okay. Like I said, it brings it front and center for habit change. It's just like any habit. Let's take biting your nails. Maybe most of us have experienced this. Maybe when you're younger, like you just have this unconscious habit of biting your nails and you don't even realize that you're doing it until it becomes like in the way. Maybe you hate the way your nails look, or, you don't like how you found yourself doing it every time you're nervous or anxious or something. Okay, well, so how do you break the habit of biting your nails? Well, you have to be aware of when you're putting your fingers in your mouth. I remember a lot of kids did this during school when they were bored. It's the same with eating. A lot of eating, unconscious overeating, happens when you're bored and you're not paying attention. You're blowing past enough. And when you're not paying attention, you'll be so likely to say, well, I'm not overeating, or it was fine. Well, yeah, but you're also like, 7 episodes into Succession with a really loud volume in the dark with your hand in a chips bag. Like, that's not being aware and that's not paying attention. So the planning is a vehicle to make the unconscious conscious. Okay. Overeating is usually a very well established unconscious habit. The other part that making a plan does is that it gives you practice and a container in which you operate. So, for example, let's say that you planned, I don't know, a bagel and coffee for breakfast or fruit and yogurt. Let's say you even gave yourself 2 options. And then that morning, your mother-in-law comes over with donuts. This is your opportunity to delay gratification and not operate from your in the moment urges around food. Overeating, I mean, having weight to lose, being overweight, is the result of following in the moment urges around food. And so the plan is this container in which you make a commitment of what to eat, and then you've got to meet each moment of your day and just practice. If it's not on your plan and you didn't expect it, it's not a big deal. Like, let's take that breakfast that your mother-in-law brought over and you didn't put donut on your plan. It would be so easy to just say, oh, fuck it. What's the difference between a donut and a bagel, right? They're both carbs. One has more sugar. Okay, well, what's the big difference though? But it is a big difference because weight loss, sustainable weight loss, means that you stick to what you say you're going to do. And making a plan around food is a great way for you to practice not only really learning what you truly want in those meal opportunities that present themselves, but it gives you a chance to just say, okay, well, I'll pull a donut aside today and I'll just have it tomorrow. I'll put it on my plan for tomorrow. This teaches your brain that, grabbing food that you don't typically allow yourself, that's, not good for dieting or whatever in your old diet brain, that's not, no one's taking it away from you anymore. Everything is a conscious choice. But that also means that everything can't be a conscious in the moment choice either, because that's what led to you having weight to lose, right? So this is just a way, making a food plan is a way for you to show your brain planning and leadership and to practice definitive decision making and then your follow through with that. And when you do that, you increase your reputation with yourself. When you are impeccable with promising yourself that you will eat from your plan, it's a tool of self-discipline. I mean, so many of us with weight to lose, we've just been letting ourselves down with food and been frustrated trying to restrictive diet, which makes sense, right? It's a system that's we're designed to fail in. But this system, this is a way to recapture your opinion of yourself, to get some momentum going about like who you want to be as an eater, and just delaying a decision to eat for at least 24 hours. Right. And look, I mean, it isn't a big deal to choose between the planned bagel or yogurt and the donut that came in as a surprise. Right. It's not a huge deal. But that experience of you practicing staying on your plan and saying, I didn't plan for it. Maybe tomorrow will have you, it has the ancillary benefit of you really considering like, hey, like, do I really want to plan for a donut on a Sunday morning? Maybe I do. Why didn't I plan for the donut on Sunday morning? Why did I put a bagel? Do I ever plan for donuts? Like, yeah, I think I would like to plan for donuts now and then. I swear, I think I personally am I made plans to go see my mom up in Connecticut at the end of September because it's like fall time up there and they have these amazing apple cider donuts up there. I'm like, oh, I'd be able to get a donut. Like that for me in the fall, being in New England in the fall where they actually have apple trees. I mean, I live in Florida, so I don't experience that here. There's no like fun fall foods really in Florida. Um, it feels a little imposterish to have fun fall foods in Florida when it's still 92 degrees in October. But yeah, it just begs the point. Like there are times in the year where you are going to want to plan for your favorite foods. I mean, so many of us go through life and we just like have an unexpected guest bring food and we just never allow ourselves to like plan and anticipate for our favorite seasonal foods. I just kind of switched over into my summer protocol. We did a summer reset with the membership. And that practice of planning for the season, this is like daily planning it, but in a much wider lens, it allowed me to really think about all my favorite foods that I love to eat in the summertime. And there's just already in 1 week been so many more fresh fruits in my fridge. And I'm just loving having the fruit. I don't love it as much in the wintertime. I still have that kind of seasonal pace, even though I live in a subtropical climate. So that's just the kind of eater that I want to be. And that's what daily planning will really help you with. Okay. So hopefully you've had time to get on the list and you have your daily plan. So let's have a look about how to use my daily plan. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so if you've gone over to YouTube, well, let me think. The brand new people who join my list, you know what I'll do? I'll add this link to the YouTube video once I put it up there so that you can watch it. And if you have any problems and you want to see it, just reply to any of my emails and ask me for the link, and I'll happily send it to you so you can watch it. Okay, so here is the daily plan. You'll see on the top of the screen, and you might want to go to at least a laptop. Like you won't be able to really see it very well on your phone. So go to a laptop or an iPad or a desktop so you can see this well, and then make it full screen. I want you to get really comfortable with using this. So here's the instructions. So every day, now remember, this is the distillation of all of my foundational principles for weight loss. These are all this, they're basically the same as in No BS. I teach some things just slightly differently, but it's all basically the same thing. Okay. So you're going to make what I call a generous plan. That means put more food for each eating opportunity than you think you can eat. It's not the kind of thing where you parcel out food to yourself. In fact, I don't want you to use really amounts of food because that's what your stomach is for. I want you to go inward to decide when to have the food and use your satisfaction cues and your sense of like, how full are you? We don't want you eating to full if you're losing weight. We want you to eat to satisfied and stop before you're full. Okay. So in these boxes on the left, you'll see breakfast, lunch, dinner, and in the bottom are snacks, dessert, and alcohol. Okay. So like I said, for that breakfast example, if you're not quite sure what you'll want for breakfast, give yourself a couple of options. I really like this for dinner time. Like I like to plan for if I'm in the mood to cook, one option. And then there's like a lazy option for just like assembling my dinner if I feel like I just don't have the energy or the desire to cook. And to be honest with you, we're heading right into summertime. In the summertime, I don't feel like cooking very often. I don't want to heat up my kitchen. I have this stupid stove that as soon as I turn on stove and oven top, as soon as I turn on the oven, it starts blowing hot air into my kitchen. And I'm still not over that the oven does this. So I don't like to use it. I don't like to cook in my house, which is running at the air conditioning like crazy all the time, just to keep it at the set temperature, especially at the end of the day. So I may not like to cook. So I'm going to give myself lots of options for dinner that is easy to assemble or requires no cooking. Okay. So you're going to make a generous plan to eat what you truly desire to eat today. You must be able to follow this plan, even if you're tired or busy. Give yourself options. Then you're going to follow your physical hunger cues to know when and how much to eat. So for more on, okay, wait, how do I know when I'm hungry? Like when exactly do I eat? Scroll back in the episodes of the podcast. There's making peace with hunger. And then there's another one for like how to know when you've had enough. Okay. So go back and listen to those if you need to. And it just says meals happen after you sense definite physical hunger and they end before you feel full. And a lot of this, I want you all to just do the best you can with what you know about your hunger cues today. So you don't have to feel confident. You don't have to know the exact, way that it works for you. This is you making your best guess each and every day. And as you practice with this and you play out your best guesses with your decisions around food, you'll get better and better at knowing exactly when and how much to eat. Okay. So on the top, you can just review the directions each day if you want to. That will help bring the foundational principles about how to eat for sustainable weight loss, like front of mind. You put the date there. If you weighed in that day, there's a box. I'm in the pink box at the top right-hand side. If you weighed in that day, you can track it right there. Now, this one to the right is the most important one besides writing your food. So at a minimum, I want you to fill out this top box on the right side in the pink box. It says, in order to lose weight, I know I need to keep my overeats to this many instances or less this week. So if you have no idea how many overeats you can have and still lose weight, I would encourage you to start with, if you have a lot of weight to lose, like 50 pounds or more, you might still be able to lose weight overeating about 4 times. If you have less weight to lose, some of my clients can still lose overeating about 3 times out of 7, 3 days out of 7. That doesn't mean each meal. That means one meal or one instance each of those days. Okay. So how many? I know I need to keep my overeats to this many instances or less per week. So it's going to be 4 if you have a lot to lose, 3 if you think you could have 3, if you don't overeat that much when you do, or if you feel like it's not real easy for you to drop weight, or you're like a slow weight loss loser, you could put 2 there. I'm a 2. I'm a definite 2. I think most of my clients vary between 2 and 3 overeats per week. Okay. And then underneath that one, before you make your plan, you put how many overeats you've had so far this week. So what is a week? Well, a week is defined for each one of you differently. You're going to have one day that you weigh in. Remember, like we have to play at weight loss within the container of a weigh-in day and a 7-day week in between. So let's say I weigh in on Sunday mornings. So today is Sunday. So this morning, if I filled this in, I would have a 2 up there. How many instances or less to overeat? I would put 2. And how many overeats so far this week? I would put 0 because I just started my weight loss week today. And your last daily plan, if you weigh in on Sundays too, would be Saturday. Okay. So then you're going to go ahead and plan your meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then down below is snacks. Okay. Just go ahead and write anything you think you might have. If you're not sure if you're going out, just write going out. Or if you know where you're going, well, just take a minute when you're planning to go online, look at the menu and make a decision ahead of time. If you're feeling like, oh, I don't like making decisions ahead of time, that points to a lack of trust. So I want you to use the daily plan to get really good at making decisions ahead of time. The better you get at this, the easier weight loss gets. Because when you've made a decision and then you're just like, well, no matter what, I'm just going to follow my plan. It's kind of like just deciding I wake up and I go to the gym. Like it's not something that you have to debate every day. And that makes being somebody who works out regularly really easy, because it's just a fact. And it's the same here with planning. I choose my food ahead of time. And there's a way to make a daily plan that's like an art form. That's how I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it like I want to make a plan that takes into account all of the options, all of my tastes and preferences, and um, it's comprehensive such that I would have a hard time eating off plan. Like life would really have to go left if I ate off plan. This means before you write anything down, you should probably just peek in the fridge. You should look in the pantry. You've got to look at your calendar. You have to look and see like what kind of day do I have going today? How is that going to intersect with my food life? How am I going to plan for my needs? And this is one of the best parts about planning because the part of your brain that is concerned, because likely you've been restrictive dieting for so long, is going to feel so much better that you've considered your own needs for food ahead of time. It's just going to settle everything down. Like when I think about my previous self who used to like save up calories and, do all this bullshit fasting and all this stuff, like by the time I was super hungry, I was like desperate for food. And I wouldn't have made a plan for food because I had this false belief that if I planned to eat, that I would just eat. So it was better to just not plan to eat and try to restrict myself just as long as I possibly could. And then I never played that out to the end, which is that you end up overeating because you wait so long and then you have no choices and you're desperate for food and you make these shitty in the moment emotional decisions around what to do with food that locks you in this pattern of overeating. And this is why planning ahead of time is actually like takes the tension way down around weight loss. It gives your brain feedback that I'm never starving you again. I'm making plans for us to eat. And okay, so just write down your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can see that on the bottom of each of these meal times, there's boxes for you to check when you go to assess. And there's 3 things that you want to try to hit every day. You want to eat only after you sense physical hunger. You want to stop eating before you're physically full. And you want to eat only what you planned to eat, even if that's just a loose plan of like, so let's say protein, vegetable, and, a starch. Or you could say, crackers and some kind of salad, let's say protein shake and half a sandwich or something. Okay. Now on the bottom, on the left side is snacks, dessert, and alcohol. So if you don't know how I feel about snacks, you can watch Why I Hate Snacking as a Verb, or excuse me, listen to that podcast. Snacks for most of us in the traditional sense of snacks, it's snacking as a verb. It means a habit of eating when you're not hungry, really. Some of us, okay, maybe it is to like tide you over to the next meal, but for most of us, it isn't. It's just a convenient excuse to get some dopamine through food or distract yourself from some maybe work you don't want to do or to give yourself a break. So snacks, dessert, and alcohol, you can see here there's a little asterisk there. So here's the instructions. It says, so if you think you're going to have any of those, write down what you're going to have. Like maybe you write a cookie, or I'll write like a croissant. You all know how I love croissants. alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, but if you all do, those are calories. You could put any kind of like caffeinated beverages that also have calories. You could put that here too. Okay. Now, my specific directions on this are if you have snack, dessert, or alcohol outside of your like meal time, and there's no physical hunger present, including alcohol, okay, then this counts as a planned overeat. So this goes back to this box here at the top right-hand side. How many instances can I overeat and still lose weight? Okay, so in No BS membership, we don't really talk about like having alcohol as a planned overeat, but I like to talk about it like this because I feel like it gives you a way to track any kind of consumption of fuel, if you will, in your body when you're not physically hungry for it. And it just allows you to see like more reliable data, if you will. Okay. So go ahead and write it down here. If it's a planned overeat, I would just write it like planned overeat. If you know you're going out with your girlfriends and you're going to have like some drinks after you have dinner, you won't be hungry for the drinks or the snacks, maybe you just write planned overeat and just count it as one of them. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Okay. Everyone overeats as they lose weight. We just want to control the number of times so that we can reach our goals. Okay. So planned overeats, I want you to plan in advance. Okay. So if you know, like Friday's pizza night, like there's this place in town, they have great tiramisu. And I tried to have my slice of pizza and my tiramisu, but like, I don't want to just have one slice of pizza. I found myself feeling restricted, even if I had like one slice of pizza and the tiramisu. I just get too full. So if I want to have my 2 slices of pizza and the tiramisu, I know that that's one of my planned overeats for the week. And, you know, my magic number, my blueprint number of overeats to lose weight is 2. So if I'm going to do my Friday night pizza, I know this will be one of the 2 for the week. And I can plan both, or you can just plan the one that you know is going to happen and then leave one for, you know, whenever it might happen during the week. Okay. So let's go back to the right now underneath the pink box. I like to give yourself your top 3 to-dos for work and personal. And you might be wondering, like, what does this have to do with weight loss? Well, a lot of times weight loss and your thoughts about time and productivity, they intersect. If you have, you know, if you're a working person or even if you're home with kids, let's say, there's a lot to do. And a lot of times that agenda of what to do, if you don't constrain how much you intend to get done every day, if it's just a never ending daily grind of too much than I can do in one day, then you just never feel like you're done. And a lot of my clients, if they're like driving their actions with this, like, there's too much to do, I'm never catching up, I'm drowning in all the things I have to do, that leads to overeating. So you want to constrain your to-dos. And this is probably the topic of another podcast. Maybe I'll do it in the next one about time management. But suffice it to say here, you shouldn't be putting anything on your to-do list that is something that is a regular recurring task, like laundry. You should just have a time in a day that you do laundry every week. You know, if you have date night and it's always Tuesday, like it just goes on Tuesday. These to-dos are things that are specific to your day that have to get done that day. Okay. And this is, again, this is another way of you making decisions ahead of time and then focusing your efforts to do the thing that you said you were going to do, whether that's the food that you plan to eat or the to do that you put on your personal and your workspace here. Okay. And this also helps, like, when you can check these boxes that you did the things that you said you were going to do, it just also creates this momentum of like, yeah, I'm doing what I said I was going to do. I can count on myself. And momentum is so important for weight loss. So that's why it's in there. I encourage you to use it, but it's not necessary. So if you don't want to fill out this part, that's fine. Same thing with planned movement and self-care. I just think it's good to put it on here because, again, anytime that you make the commitment of writing something down for any of these, your brain is already rehearsing how to get it done. And that's going to help you so much to, in the moment, pull the trigger and do the thing that you said you were going to do, or at least figure out how you're going to do it. And that's important when you put it down here. Like, let's say I write down planned movement. Sometimes, let's say it's a Peloton ride with my girl Jen. She does a lot of these 80s rides. And I don't like to ride live on Peloton. I just don't. I find it distracting, like the leaderboard. Like, I don't want to be on the leaderboard. I don't want to see what other people are doing. Like, I hide all that stuff. So I don't need to go live, but I do have like a list of saved rides with Jen that I haven't taken yet. So I might go into the garage and just look at which ride I'm going to take that day, you know? And then I start to get excited about it. And the more concrete I make it, oh, it's going to be this 80s ride or this, like, this particular artist. Sometimes she does themed rides, which are really fun too. I start to look forward to the thing that I'm planning. It's the same with planning your food, right? It just gives something for your mind to focus on instead of worrying, will I overeat today? Look, you have this whole plan about how it's going to go. And then as you write these things down, be it the food or the movement, self-care, your to-dos, your brain is just going to be working on that because your brain is always like a work dog. But if you don't plan, it's like a dog that has no training. It just doesn't know what you want from it. So it's jumping everywhere and it's getting in the garbage and it's jumping up on the table, right? Like that's how your mind is. If you're not planning for how to be successful, your mind will just run wild, being its wild self, which is to expend the least amount of energy and be negative as fuck all the time. So this, like I said, creates the container in which you want your intentional day to play out. All right, we're getting to the end. This one is really important. My plan for potential challenges today. Okay, let's say that let's say it's the weekend and you are planning to go out for dinner to a restaurant with some friends. Okay. And sometimes with these friends, there's like a lot of food on the table and you've overeaten with them before. So in this area, my plan for potential challenges, I would, for example, just write about like, okay, like I'm going to not share. I'm just going to order the food that I want to order. And I'm going to ask for a to-go box like as soon as I see the waiter after the food has been delivered so that I can box up my leftovers instead of just picking at my food. Okay. Whatever might get in the way, just write a few sentences about like what is the easiest thing that you can do to make it easier? What can you think to make it easier? What do you want to tell yourself that is like that cheerleader voice that you need to hear to get yourself into action to make your plan for the day happen? All right. Now, this bottom third on the right-hand side is all about your daily review. I like to do my review before I go to bed so that my brain has clarity and closure about how my day went. It's a faster feedback loop. I just find if I try to review the next day, sometimes, I mean, I'm not trying to lie to myself, but I just have already forgotten what I ate and the nuances of the day. So it's just part of, usually when I'm watching TV, when the commercial comes on or what have you, around 8 or 9 p.m., I'll just do my daily review and just do these check boxes. And if I had a unplanned overeat, I'll just journal about it that night before I go to bed. I like going to bed having been completely done with the day so that when I wake up, there's no loose ends for the next day. Now, that's just me. I know a lot of you like to review before you make the new plan for the new day. Okay, so just check as many as you can if you followed your plan, completed your movement, meditated. I forget which episode. I do have an episode on meditation. I highly recommend that you meditate for a minimum of 10 minutes. It helps so much with overeating. It helps your brain rest throughout the day so that you don't meet usually your dinner or your last meal of the day with a nervous system that's like highly engaged and above or below home base. Because if you are like, let's say you just have a busy day at work and you're like anxious or you're angry or you're frustrated or you're overworked or tired or what have you, like going into dinner that way it's like going into a fight with one hand tied behind your back. You're just at such a disadvantage. So I just find meditating after lunch resets my nervous system so that I can go into the second half of the day with a fresh mind. So I highly recommend that. This big box here on the right, notice how it's slightly darker, followed appetite cues for all meals. That is the one you want to check as often as possible. But again, most of you will have 2 or 3 times a week when you're not checking that because you're going to have like 2, 3, maybe 4 overeats per week. Okay. But as long as you have, each one for each day, by the time you go to weigh in, you're now going to have 7 of these. And this is why I want you to do it, because you can flip through 7 of these daily reviews and see how often you overate, which meals you overate. You'll have this bottom section, wins from today, and any notes to self right here at the ready for you, so that before you even step on the scale, you have like a crystal clear set of data to tell you exactly how the last 7 days went, so that you have an expectation of what the scale will say based on what you actually did or did not do. And let me tell you, you do this enough, you get really good at forecasting what the scale will say. Like if I have, let's say I have 3 overeats instead of the 2 that I had hoped for, chances are I'm going to maintain or gain about a half a pound. I mean, this is just like clockwork for me. It's just, I know I've done it for so long now, I can just predict. If I had 2 overeats and I no more than 2, I probably have a half a pound to maybe 1 pound, more like half a pound to 0.75 loss per week. It's the rare week where I only overeat once. That's just where I'm at. Maybe it'll change. Maybe it won't, but that's just the rate at which my body will respond to my habits around food. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. So that is the daily planner. I hope that you are going to enjoy it. Give it like at least a minimum of 1 week and see how you do with it. The goal being always to check at the end of your week. And there is a weekly planner too, like a weekly that overview planner. That's a companion one to this that you'll get like, I offer it if you review the podcast, and I offer that to you in like the third email that you get from me. So there's a way to get that too. Just read your emails, and if you want to review the podcast, I'll send you the link. Otherwise, you can just do your own review. Like, okay, out of 7 days, here's how often I overate. You know, what's happening when I'm overeating? Is it a planning issue? Is it a process issue? Like, what's happening that I'm eating when I'm not hungry? Like, what is that about? You can journal about it and just do your reflection that way. It's not like anything, you know, groundbreaking in the weekly plan, but it is nice to have a system in place that you can look at. Okay. So that's your daily plan. It's nothing earth shattering, but it is a practical way to put all of the foundational aspects of integrative weight loss into play on a daily basis. So let me know if you have questions. Go visit me on Instagram at Thrive in Midlife. You can find me there. You'll see the post for episode. What episode are we on? This is episode 38. And if you have questions, let me know. I'm happy to give you any feedback, thoughts, takeaways, ahas, give them there in the comments. It's always so good to hear from you all. So stay focused on your daily plan. Okay. Let it become the habit that you love to do each morning. I wake up and I have 2 thoughts on my mind each morning. I cannot wait to open my iPad and make my plan. And I can't wait for my coffee. It's like the best part of my day. And, you know, I just encourage you to look at this as a way to take control of your life. Just this little tool of intentional decisions ahead of time will absolutely change your life and your habits around food. And I hope you love it as much as I do. I had a lot of fun making it for you. If you're in the membership, just use your No BS planner. They're virtually the same. You know, it doesn't really matter. Just find one that you truly love and you enjoy using. If you feel like you want to make your own, then go ahead and make your own. You know, Canva is a great resource. It's a free resource, and you don't need the professional one to make your own planner. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Thanks for joining me. Stay focused, and so long. Hey, if this episode was helpful, then let's connect. Visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/subscribe. You'll get a gift from me, exclusive subscriber content, and advanced notice of in-person events.